Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here with my cousin Tyrone. Unfortunately, Malik and Hollister, they're kind of busy, so they can't join us. So it's gonna be like a first take type of thing. Even though I don't like to really talk about that show because sometimes they kind of biased. But it's gonna be Tyrone and I today. So we got quite a few things to talk about. Like I said, we try to be consistent. Regardless if it's just me, him, them, but what I mean, Tyrone and Hollister or whoever. We're just trying to get some more content out to you guys so we can be able to, keep this thing going. As you guys know, what I'm saying, I'm a Brooklyn Net fan. Last week, Kyrie had his first game, his debut last Wednesday, and it was perfect. You know what I'm saying? We were down by 19. The team fought back, came back. Kyrie had 22. He looked like he hasn't lost a step. And I was happy to see that. It's still unfortunate that he can't play full time, but like we talked about before, to each his own as far as you know, what you want to do with your health and stuff like that. But it was a good thing to see, and hopefully the Nets, do their thing. So, Tyrone, like, what do you think about Kyrie's performance and the whole situation last week?
He got off to a slow start
Mm,
in the first quarter. And, when it was winning time, try to make that comeback, Kyrie does what Kyrie does. So he pretty much was the old Kyrie after, the first half. Because I guess they had him on a minutes restriction. So he hasn't played since
yeah,
May. So they're not going to play him 35 minutes, 40 minutes. And Indiana was getting off to a pretty hot start, especially with shout out to Lance Stevenson.
yeah, man. Shout
Brooklyn
out to
born
him.
Brooklyn born Lance Stevenson. He was killing. He had 20 points in the first quarter. So,
Yeah, he was
Lance,
fine.
Lance was making them dance, boy.
Yeah,
He was getting it in on them. But Kyrie, from what I saw, Kyrie looked like he didn't lose a step. He just had to, get the kinks out early. But after
yeah.
that, he was Kyrie, and he showed it by basically carrying the Nets to that comeback victory. So, let's see how this whole
I mean, I won't say carrying. I mean, because
yeah,
KD
he
was putting in a lot of that work. KD had
KD put
39,
in
and K.
KD put in work, but Kyrie was the man in the fourth quarter. Let's be honest. Kyrie
I
was
mean,
the man.
Kyrie was doing some stuff in the fourth quarter. I'll give you that. He was killing in the fourth quarter. He hit some a lot of mid range. He's still working on getting his rhythm back with his 3 point
Got a
shot,
clutch steal too.
clutch
He
steal.
got yeah,
Who
because
else? I mean,
don't get me
Bembry
don't get me
also was
wrong.
a big thing. But yeah, I mean, look, don't get me wrong. Like, I mean, it was good
Don't
to
get me
have.
wrong. KD did what KD does. Put up his
Yeah.
30 something. But I don't think they
Mhm.
come back if Kyrie Irving's not on that floor.
I agree. I think that the point of Kyrie being on the floor and also his playmaking ability, as well as just having another option, because for some reason, I know James Harden was kind of off that game and he missed a few free throws. And I'm not saying I'm not doing like what the Lakers do with Russell Westbrook saying it's a James Harden thing, but I'm just saying that James Harden he's killing today actually, but sometimes they have like little things here and there, and I felt that like he was looking like all right, they kind of were losing, and he wasn't like not to say he wasn't putting no effort in. It's just that like he was kind of going through it, and then once they started making the moves, that's when he started really picking up his tempo. Whereas Kyrie was just in there really trying to like make things happen, as well as KD. KD is the type of person he can go off shooting. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I agree with you. I think that if it wasn't Kyrie on the floor, I don't think the Nets would have pulled that game out and won. I mean, I did know it is a little concerning to me that for the past few games I've been watching with the Nets, that the Nets have been like trailing in some games big and always trying to play this comeback type of thing where I feel that defensively they turn it on when they're ready sometimes, but it's like still, they still be having some issues. Like they get their baskets, it's just that the other team just be scoring, they don't be stopping them. So I just think that we got to really start locking down a little bit more with defenders. And I think Steve Nash rotation needs to start keeping some guys in the coming. Bembry came in the game, he really made a big difference, as far as locking up on some of these guys and got a big block, steals, pressuring the ball, really kind of forcing turnovers, which helped start the drive to come back. And then, Kyrie and then KD took over and did their thing. So, yeah. But like you said,
Yeah,
man,
man.
Lance Stevenson did his thing.
Lance did his thing, Sabonis. But
Yeah, Sabonis
yeah,
killing.
the situation now with the Kyrie thing now is gonna be a little tricky. Cause look, y'all needed him in that big game against Milwaukee, and
Yeah,
Milwaukee put the stomp into y'all. So it's
yeah,
starting to make yeah. I just want to see how it works at the end. I think you guys can do enough. to
Yeah.
get by with the whole him just playing on the road for now. But let's see
Mm,
how that help affects you in the playoffs. You gotta
mm.
you guys are lucky you get to have him when you play us this week in
Yeah.
Chicago.
I
But I
mean, we're
don't think
gonna
that'll
wash
be
out
enough to help.
regardless what, you know what I'm
Yeah, right.
saying? Like, cause we could
Hasn't happened
honestly
the
think
other two
about
times.
it. I mean, but you're right. But think about it. The other two times when the Nets played the Bulls, and I know what you're gonna say is winning, so we get it.
One
But
of them was a blowout, so I don't want to hear
one of them was a blowout, yes. But one of them they was watching y'all the whole game, and then y'all came back at the end, did y'all little thing and won. Even that blowout game, it was very competitive at the beginning. Then y'all had hit on a little spiel, and then that was it. So I do agree with you. I think right now the big thing, because we are also short staff with our protocols as well and injuries stuff like that. We don't got Joe Harris. He's still healing that from that ankle injury. That's a nice spot up shooter that if we had, he's a decent defender. If we had him on the court, little things like that. Patty Mills playing a lot of extended minutes, but he's also underside, kind of
Joe
guard and stuff like that.
Joe
But
Joe Harris
mhm,
needs to fix that wrong because he's the reason why you guys didn't even get to the finals. So
I know, man.
let's not call his name out like this is it, like
No, no,
he's
no,
watching
but
you.
no, I agree with you because he didn't
I just throwing
I
a little
agree with
jab
you.
at him.
But
Don't worry,
no,
don't
no, no,
worry.
and I get it. But I'm just trying to say that in the sense that we got, like, don't get me wrong, we have a lot of young guys that are getting some burn. We had Cam Thomas at one point getting burned, which I was saying before, like a couple of before the new
Yeah, he's
year,
playing
and we start playing him more. And in the same
playing
day I
pretty
said
well.
that, he started playing well. Then we have that the
Yeah,
Duke Junior kid started playing decently. That he's getting starting minutes. So we just try to find rotation. Claxton came back, started starting. You know what I mean? So LaMarcus Aldridge out. We got some good veterans, but I think we need to find the proper rotation and the proper mixture of like our star players and veterans with these young guys, because what's happening is that we get into the point where we playing these games and it's like it's not because we can't score or we can't do our thing. It's just that some of these other teams, when they hitting, and then like defensively, the biggest thing with the Nets is the defense. It's like they'll
hmm
play defense for a good few, like maybe like 15 to 20 seconds out of the 24 shot clock, and then like they'll get these bad rebounds, or they'll like let up a shot, or somebody go back door, get a layup, and then it's and one layups instead of people just really defending the rim. I do think we could do better with a decent, with a rim protector. Like I do miss Jared Allen. I'm not taking nothing away from Claxton, but I think Jared Allen was a legit rim protector. Was a guy that didn't mind getting yammed on if he had to, and he more times than not he was getting those blocks and getting those rebounds. I do agree with you. I do think we lacking a little bit in the rebounding, area, but I do feel that we have enough firepower to compete with anybody. And when we on, we on. And I think that yeah, the Bucs came and washed us the other night. I just think it just the Nets is kind of going through the motions in a sense, and they had that big high with Kyrie playing with them in Indiana, and then they come here and do their thing. So I feel
let's
that we'll
let's
be okay.
let's not forget they
Mm-hmm.
played without Drew Holiday and they only had Brook Lopez for one game this year. So the
Mm-hmm.
Bucks have their share of problems too.
Yeah, I'm not.
And then
I'm not
they
saying they
they
don't.
just they just recently released Boogie,
Yeah,
which
I
is
saw.
crazy to me. But because
Mm.
he just had a double and he get his reward is to get released, but he's with Denver now. So
Yeah, I heard
hopefully
that.
Boogie, a 10-day contract. A guy as talented as DeMarcus Cousins, not to switch the subject, but a guy that like DeMarcus Cousins, to me is like a joke with some of these
Yeah.
executives in the NBA, like these talented players, and it's like you can't find a roster spot for them. But then
Honestly,
there's
not really changing the subject, not to cut you, because I was going to actually segue into that with the Lance Stevenson thing. So go ahead and finish with your statement.
no, I was just saying, and he and Michael Malone had a good relationship when Michael Malone was the coach in
Mhm.
Sacramento. So he's actually
Yeah.
one of his favorite coaches. So it's pretty good to see
Yeah.
him come in there. I don't know how long he'll be there, the backup Jokic. It ain't like he's gonna play, big minutes with Nikola Jokic there, but it's good to
Mhm.
see Boogie still get another spot on the team. I thought he fit in pretty well with Milwaukee, but it has something to do
Yeah.
with the luxury tax is the reason why. And I
Yeah.
guess the only way they would have been able to avoid it is if they would have waited and signed him to
Mhm.
a 10-day again. But nobody was going to let Boogie sit down after how well he played with the
Yeah.
Bucs. I knew somebody was
Mhm.
going to pick him up. So we'll
Yeah.
see, man. But yeah,
And
you
I
can
agree
go
with you,
ahead and
man. No, I agree with you because I'm glad you mentioned that because I want to talk about that because it's really crazy. It's kind of blessing and a curse at the same time. Like we have this whole pandemic thing that's going on, and you got a lot of guys who are out of the league not because they can't play anymore, just because this new analytic era, people are going based on what the stats show. So they're going like, you know what, I'm going to play a big that can guard 1 through 5 and who can shoot threes and not the traditional big man like a Boogie, or I'm not going to get a guard like an Isaiah Thomas who are like, undersized because, I need somebody who could defend and shoot and do different things like that. So it's sad to me. And what hurts me the most, and I know we said this before in prior episodes, but I just want to regurgitate it right now and say it, is that cats like IT and DeMarcus Cousins, they were like a freaking season away, or not even a season away, the end of the season to get their bag and get their long-term contract. And it's sad to see that somebody like Boogie Cousins, especially, despite his attitude, people might want to say a guy like him who was as talented as him was this close to getting like a max deal, gets an injury playing a game, and then all
Torn
of a sudden
Achilles,
he just get torn Achilles. Then he comes back and he plays with the Golden State Warriors, and he had the quad injury. Then he has this and a knee injury with the Lakers. Like these series of bad breaks, and still fought back to come back. He's a serviceable big man, can rebound, he can score in the post, he can shoot. He's a
Yep.
big, don't get me wrong,
He's a
defensively,
stretch.
he's not
He's a stretch five. Look how many stretch fives
exactly.
these teams have. You telling me that
Yeah,
DeMarcus Cousins, a multi-time All-Star, a 20-10
yeah,
guy,
yeah.
multiple season, can't find a roster spot?
And that's the thing
Like
that's crazy to me.
I remember I watched that game with the Pelicans where he tore the
Yeah,
Achilles. I think it was like after a free throw. He was trying to
yeah.
go for a rebound or a free throw
Rebounding. Yeah,
and
and
tore
tore
the
it.
Achilles. And he's never been able to keep a contract. A
Yeah.
decent. He went to the Warriors. He played in the finals with a torn quad. How the hell he did that, I don't know. And then he plays in the I think he was playing in a summer tournament, or I don't know, he playing
No, he
pickup
was
in the
he was he
summer.
no,
He
what happened
tore
with
his
the
AC.
Lakers, he was playing
Yeah,
practice with the Lakers squad, and then he
right.
was
He
going
tore
through
the
like drills
ACL.
and
Right.
training camp and towards ACL. And he lost the weight. And like you said, it's just crazy to me. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, it's like, to me, what makes it, and I know it's a business, and I know at the end of the day, it's there's no loyalty in this kind of like era in these games. It's just that when I see guys give their all to these organizations or their team and make a sacrifice. Now, granted, you do sign up for this. It's like, if you get hurt playing on your job, you get hurt in your job. But it's like, to me, for him to lose the ability after that and it's kind of be thrown to the wayside is kind of messed up. The same thing with Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas is the biggest one to me that kind of messes me up because the man was the single reason at that time that the Boston Celtics was in the playoffs. He hurt his hip. His sister just died in a horrific car accident.
That
He
man
still
was
comes and plays
playing while
through that.
crying on the sideline through every
Exactly.
timeout. The man was crying on the sideline. He couldn't even. He had to go play. He didn't know what to do after his
Exactly.
sister died, so he just came and played. Then Danny Ainge said, "Well, yeah, we're gonna trade you for Kyrie," which I understand, but
Yeah.
you didn't let the man didn't get an opportunity to get his money,
Nothing.
and and then now all of a sudden it's like he can't. You telling me he can't be a backup point guard in the NBA? You got to be kidding me.
And
You
that's what
got to
I'm
be kidding.
saying is
Another guy, Lance Stevenson. You telling me he
exactly.
can't be a big look at what he's doing? And I think to me with Lance, it's something
Mm-hmm.
about him. This is his third stint with the Pacers. It seems like
Yeah.
whenever he puts on that Pacer uniform,
Mm-hmm.
he plays his best ball. Like he was in Charlotte. He had the big
Yep.
contract in Charlotte. It didn't work out.
Yeah.
It didn't work out with the
Mm-hmm.
Lakers. It didn't work
Yeah.
out with other teams in Memphis. But then it's always when he put that Pacer uniform on,
Mm-hmm.
it's like that brings the best out of Lance. A guy like him, a guy like Greg Monroe, a serviceable big man, like you just said,
Yeah.
serviceable big man. A guy like Greg Monroe, who was a
Mm-hmm.
double guy back in Detroit. You telling me he can't give a team 15 minutes a game? And then they go out there and they get these they fill up these rosters. They want everything to be young. They don't. It seems like once you hit 32, 33, and you're not a multi-time all-star, it seems like when you
Yeah.
get around that age, it's like you're a veteran bench presence now. Like guys, there's certain guys in the league now that you
Yeah.
telling me, like I see a guy like Derek Favors on the Thunder, who I think could still play serviceable minutes. He gets every now and then he plays with the Thunder. It's becoming a joke now. It's almost like they don't want no veterans in the NBA anymore.
Yeah.
Unless it's those big time teams that that are trying to win now, like
Mm-hmm.
the Lakers. The Lakers. I mean, we all joke about how they're old and this, that, and the third. But look,
Yeah.
they don't. They have veterans. A lot of
Yeah.
teams have veterans. And some of these good teams that are playoff contenders don't have a lot of good veterans on their team,
Yeah.
and they're sitting at home. And there's other names that I could bring up that I can't even get off
Like
the top of my head. Like,
Brandon Knight got it. I
well,
forgot what
yeah,
team he's
Brandon
playing.
Knight, Brandon Knight, Brandon
I know
Knight
he was being a
was
laughter
on.
because he got yammed on and he got
Oh
mixed by a
well,
few times, but
that
he's
was
an
early.
NBA player.
That was when he was still. That was when he was still a starting guard in the league. So that's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, DeAndre
yeah,
Jordan baptized him. We know. But
yeah.
yeah, you know, this guys that these guys are not done. These guys are not
Yeah.
done, and the league forces them to be done because of, like you said, these analytics, which I can't stand, and
Yep.
they just like I don't want to spend too much time. There's so many players you could bring up right now, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what are they doing in China? What are they doing in Europe? Why are these
Yeah.
guys not in the NBA? They're better than some of these guys. No disrespect to anybody that's in the league right now, because I can't
Yeah.
hold a candle to any of them. But
Mm.
there's guys in the league right now that cannot touch somebody. You tell me Lance Stevenson couldn't be one of the 400 and something players in the NBA? You telling me he's not
Exactly.
a top 400 and something player in the league? Get the hell out of here.
And
But
that's
yeah,
what I'm saying. It's like recency bias. It's like they see them and they're like, oh, I didn't see how he's playing with LeBron, and I didn't see how he looked when he's on LA. I agree with you. The Lance Stevenson thing is something I wanted to say too. Like I feel with certain players, it's certain environments that they need to be in to excel. And I feel
mm-hmm.
that with Lance Stevenson, like the reason why he got his big money in Charlotte was because he was playing well
Right.
for the Pacers. And I feel that
Mm-hmm.
certain environments are just suit better for certain individuals and certain, talented players. Like for instance, like Lance Stevenson, he's a Brooklyn cat. He can't play in New York. You know what I'm saying? There's certain guys that when they're in their hometown and things are too normal, too regular, they get easily distracted. Same thing with like him playing in Charlotte. Maybe it's too much going on in Charlotte that the environment wasn't really good. You know what I mean? For him to play at the pace or the skill set that he wanted to play at. And I feel that some of these guys, it's because of systems. Like, a team will have like, for instance, like a Greg Monroe. Like when Detroit had him, he was doing well, then they get Drummond. You know what I mean? Then
Drummond.
Drummond started, putting in more work for them. So they started rocking with more Drummond. You can't play two
Mm-hmm.
big men together. It's like certain things like that. And like you said, there's a lot of guys. I watched the video and they were showing like why NBA players, right, are better than the average guy. And it was showing, these guys cooking, what I'm saying, like, these average dudes because of the game speed is different. So that's because you
Yeah.
see them in the NBA, you think
Yeah. It doesn't mean they
they
can't.
can't do that.
Right.
That don't mean they can't play. And it's just that to me, I feel that people be like, you know what, I bet these guys, they're good, but I want to be like the Golden State Warriors. I want to match up to the Bucs. I want to do this. People that's giving up on these players. Now, granted, some guys are very talented and they just good on one side of the ball. So sometimes there's a liability. Like for instance, like a lot of people was criticizing Isaiah Thomas because Isaiah Thomas is very short. He's not really a good defender. He can score, but if you don't necessarily, if he's hurting you more so than what he's producing, then it's kind of making it hard. But you gotta give these guys a chance. Like they now getting their feet wet, getting back into the league. Like give them an opportunity. So I am happy for these guys to get their second chances or third chances, or just be able to get burned and because
Yeah.
of this whole like roster thing. Because you got guys on the bench that don't even get no burn, and they just taking
None.
up spots. But you got quality guys out there ain't getting no kind of love. So I'm happy for them, man. Yeah, I really am. And like I said, it's unfortunate how it's coming about, but I just hope that like a Boogie Cousins can get a long-term deal. I heard that they were saying Lance Stevenson, hopefully get one. I know like even I
Yeah.
didn't even know Gary Payton's son was on the 10-day and they signed him to a full deal. I thought he was already on the team.
No, he was a 10-day, and then something happened. I think a couple of the guys went into protocols, and then he really started to play well in like late November, and that's when they kept him. So
Mhm.
I know he did initially come on a 10-day, and it's starting to with Gary Payton the second.
Mhm.
Remember they had Avery Bradley in the preseason, and
Yeah.
everybody made a big uproar about them letting him go. And now with Gary Payton there, it makes you forget that they actually had Avery Bradley, because he does the same things Avery Bradley does: play great defense, and he's a better, like, efficient offensive player. Like he's a
Yeah.
Skywalker. You see this guy,
Yeah.
GP, the original GP. He ain't have them hops. But
Yeah.
the defense is there, just like his daddy's. He ain't on his daddy's level with defense, but
Yeah.
he's a good defender. He's
Yeah.
very efficient offensively, and it makes them, makes people forget about. Hey, you don't hear all that Avery Bradley talk anymore.
Yeah.
So the 10-day it's been real important this year for a lot of teams.
Yes, yes, it has. And like I said, it comes and it goes. And we still want to watch basketball. Or if you're a sports fan, you still want to watch the games, and you want to make sure that there's an
Hmm.
availability for these teams to play. So it does help us in the long run with these 10 days that these guys get to play. And also you get to see talented. Like look at Joe Johnson because of the big three, him still
Yeah,
cooking. People and even him practicing with some of these guys. Like I see him practicing with a lot of dudes in and like in summertime, like with John Wall and like even with Jalen Brown and them, he's still giving them buckets, and he older.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So it's like I do agree. Like, look, don't get me wrong, we all getting older. You know what I'm saying? When you get to a certain age, you're not gonna be able to keep up with some time with the younger guys and different things like that. But I feel that, and credit to LeBron as well. When you take, and I only say that to LeBron, the LeBron thing because LeBron is like 37, right? Doing his thing still at a high level because he
nah,
takes
he
care of his
is, man.
body
I'm
and
not a
you know he's taking care of his body, making sure he can have that longevity. So you can clearly see that just because you get to a certain age doesn't mean that you're useless anymore. You know what I mean? Where a lot of these
Yeah,
players, they want to go to this youth movement, which is good. It looks good. These people crossing over and different things like that and dunking, but you still got people who can still produce at a high level at an older age, especially when they start to really hone their skills in the NBA, you know what I'm saying? As far as like hone their like basketball skills and their acumen and like how to like, utilize the game and the fundamentals, which is why like somebody like Jordan, like he said when he started to master the game, you know, your athleticism want to go. Your jump shot is like the last thing to go, but your athleticism and all that other stuff could go, but you can still produce at a high level if you take care of yourself. So yeah, that's good. So unless you got anything else NBA, I just wanted to touch base. I know we talked about
oh, how could you forget?
yeah.
It's a
What
big
what
day today. There's a
what
certain
oh yeah,
player
yeah, yeah,
playing
yeah, yeah,
for
yeah,
the
yeah.
Golden
You're
State
right.
Warriors.
Yeah, Klay Thompson is making his debut tonight.
It's the Cleveland
So that should be good.
Cavaliers.
So
It'll
that's
be on
good, man. I'm
NBA TV tonight, so that's a good thing. They put it on TV. You
yeah,
know they're gonna the Warrior crowd is gonna go crazy for him.
yeah.
This guy was one of the best two-way players in
Mm,
it since let's use that term two-way because it seemed like that's a term that people use right now. A two-way player. You
yeah.
should be able to play both offense and defense if it to
Mm,
begin with. You shouldn't get credit for that, but whatever.
yeah. That's
I,
true. I
I,
agree
I
with you.
he's one of the best shooters of all time. Now I might stir a little controversy saying this, but I think he's a better pure shooter than Stephen Curry. But people deem Stephen Curry the best shooter ever and everything. Like I get it because he has the
Mhm.
records and stuff. But
Yeah.
this guy Klay, I'd put it in his hands over Steph Curry any day. And I'm not just saying that to try to play for Stephen Curry. I just think that
Mm,
Klay is a better pure shooter. And we just haven't seen him in almost 3 years, which is mind blowing. It's not like he
yeah, that's true.
retired or anything. He's had a couple of injuries. He had torn ACL in the finals when he went up for the layup with Danny Green and he
Pushing
came
him.
down wrong. He came down wrong. And then the man shot 2 free throws with torn ACL. Reminds you of a certain,
Yeah.
other shooting guard that had a torn Achilles and shot 2 free throws.
Yeah.
But yeah, then he's playing to get back into shape and play the next year after the bubble and tears the Achilles. So, and some people will think the Achilles is a lot worse than the ACL.
Mm,
So
yeah.
shout out to Klay. Hopefully he has a good game. I want to see
Yeah.
him healthy. It's good to see him and Steph back together. They
Absolutely.
Steph had a little injury the other day, but I think they gave him the day off because it was a back to back, and they want to make sure that he's ready with Klay and
Yeah.
Draymond together. They haven't played together in almost 3 years, so shout out to Klay. Hope he has a healthy rest of the year, and I hope
100%.
my Bulls see him in the finals. So it'll be fun when we get to the finals, right? 100%, right, Mike?
Nah, not 100% on that. The finals thing,
Oh,
we can't really say that. I mean, I think it's
okay.
gonna be a net and Golden State. Honestly, because like people slept on Golden State. I knew the Golden State was gonna make the playoffs this
Sleeping
year.
on the Bulls, baby. They sleeping
I
on the
didn't. No,
Bulls,
you're
man.
right. Like, I didn't think that they're gonna be this good. You know what I mean? I knew that they were gonna bounce back when everybody's
Mm-hmm.
healthy. I didn't think they're gonna be number one in the division, fighting the Suns and all that other stuff like that, and like really standing above everybody else. As far as the Bulls, I said to you last year when y'all made y'all moves, and I talked to you, and I was like, yo, I think the Bulls gonna be good this year. I didn't anticipate them to be this good, but sometimes regular season stuff be different. And then you got a lot of guys in there who get they made it to the playoffs and they do their thing, and then they get kind of like shell shock in the playoffs. You know what I mean? But we'll
I
see.
understand that. We got a couple of
So
guys that got playoff experience there. It's just Zach
yeah.
LaVine that doesn't have it.
Yeah, but I mean, Zach LaVine was one thing, one caveat. But look, DeMar DeRozan, how many times the
Rosen,
Raptors was like #1 in the East, and then when they met a certain person, they folded. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that that's going to happen with the Bulls.
that's a part of the game. I understand what you're saying there, but
but
I'm more referring to the playoff experience. Vukovic, he went a couple of times with Orlando. Caruso has a championship. Derrick Jones Jr. has been on a team finals. So guys on that team,
and the coach has been there.
Of course, Billy Donovan, and he's had playoff experience and he's won championships in college. So we have a nice balance of veterans and young players. So I like the direction we're going in. I love what the GM do. I can't say his name. I'm gonna learn how to say my GM's name. I'll just call him AK. I'll call him AK for now. But I'm gonna learn my GM's name. But he did a great job coming over from Denver, and he put the team. And starting with that Vukovic trade last year, it's real. It's so good to be back on the map again in Chicago. We got rid of that Gar Forman, John Paxson. There was a nickname for them in Chicago. They called Gar Pax. We got rid of that era of management, and now we're on to the new man era. So I'm happy with that. So we'll see how it goes, man.
Yeah, I'm happy about that too. But real quick before we wrap, I just wanted to just touch base real quick on the Antonio Brown situation. I know we mentioned it last week. So some stuff came out.
Let me get it out the way. Let me apologize to Antonio Brown because I really got on him last week about the whole walking off, and then we found out more info, which you'll get into, and it turned out that there was some truth to a lot of things, what his complaint was. So I want to apologize to Antonio Brown but some stuff are deserved because he had a reputation, but sometimes you got to wait for the facts to come out then to talk. But we literally did the show hours after the game, so it was fresh. So I just want to say that about AB.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Go ahead,
a lot of people don't really be doing that like you did, like apologize and manning up. And at the end of the day, I don't think necessarily we was criticizing them. I just think we were just saying. Cause I remember I told you that I heard that it had some incentives and he wasn't getting that. But it's sad because his track record and his past. A lot of times people are not gonna give people like him the benefit of the doubt. Now it came out recently that he had some injury to his ankle, and he had text messages for him and the coach, and the organization lied and said that, well, the coach said he never heard about it, but then he had the text saying that he did hear about it. So they kind of showing that, look, he was hurt, he couldn't really go, the coach was yelling at him and different things like that, and he was like, look, man, I'm not going to really hurt myself and jeopardize myself for this situation, especially if I'm not going to get these incentives that I wanted. So it's like a little bit of like he said, she said still, but at the end of the day, I'm siding more so with him. You know how I am when it comes to these organizations. I feel that, a lot of times it's about them first and then everybody else after. But it's sad because Antonio Brown, him being who he is, him doing the things he did in the past, it really makes it difficult for people to side with him because they feel that, this is just another thing. I do believe that his career is technically over, and it's sad to say that because I don't think anybody else is going to really take the chance with him because they look at it where it's like, all right, he has the upper hand now because he is a guy that they needed him. And he was like, you know what, I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. I know y'all need me, but I'm not doing it. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said,
he didn't make it work with Tom Brady, and this is the second time. You can't make it with him. People are gonna be like, you couldn't do it with Tom Brady. There's no spot for you anywhere.
Exactly. And Tom Brady is considered like the GOAT quarterback in the NFL. He wanted to be the Michael Jordan of the NFL. And if he can't get you to buy in or to work out with him, and he's like, he did everything. The man picked you up at the airport, let you stay in his house, did everything, got you a chip, you know what I'm saying? And you still can't make it work. It's going to be very hard for another organization to let me take a shot at AB. Now, granted, the talent is there. He's a talented individual, but all the outside noise. And a lot of people don't understand is like when you bring extra drama to the table and that drama doesn't the drama outweighs the talent and the thing that you bring to me is I'm not going to really want to deal with that. You know what I'm saying? And especially if I'm not a strong coach, you know what I mean? Or in an environment where you have a really strong veteran presence, it's going to be very difficult for anybody to proceed. But I really do appreciate the fact you said you apologize. Like I said, until the rest of the information comes out, we're going to kind of like skate on the issue. But like I said, I was kind of already like not rooting for him, but like kind of like giving him the benefit of the doubt because of the fact of what happened. And I know sometimes these organizations like to play these games, but at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? Until all the evidence comes out, we just have to, take heed. My only thing before we get ready to like really, really close out is that for him to say, all right, I'm free now, he's available. Why would somebody pick him up? If you're going to get surgery in your ankle and you say the ankle is bad, you can't hurt and you're too hurt to play, you shouldn't even be thinking about getting on another team right now. Like you should be like, I'm done. Just to really like drill it in that, yo, I'm hurt. You know what I'm saying? And if that's not the case, then there's a little bit of like skepticism there. It was like, all right, you said you was hurt and you was bad, but then now you try to get on another team to compete. It don't make no sense. So I don't know what you have to say about that. And then I guess we can wrap after that.
No, he just I don't. I just felt bad that I was ganging up on him, and then you found out that he had the ankle injury, but then he did the same stuff with the letting out text messages. He did the same thing with John Gruden. Regardless of how we feel with John Gruden, it wasn't right for him to release messages that he had privately with John Gruden when he was in Oakland. So, he has a bad rap. The only team that wanted to give him a chance was the Bucs because of Brady, and he screwed that up too in a way. Even though he was angry and he said he was telling the truth about the ankle injury, it's how he went about it after, the taking off the stuff and walking off on the field. It's and it's weird when you see him doing jumping jacks, running off the field. You're kind of skeptical at first when you hear something about him having an ankle injury. He's doing all of that, but it turned out that he was telling the truth. And I just hope that somewhere down the line he can get some help with some of his attitude, with his attitude and everything. Like he's one of the most talented receivers I ever seen. So he definitely has game left, but his reputation might cost him his career. And I just hope that he can get the help he needs so hopefully he could come back and finish off his career the way he should finish it off, which is like when the time is right to retire. But we'll see, man.
Yeah, I agree. And just real quick on that, I know people were saying that too. There's a YouTube channel that I follow, and it's a doctor. His name is Brian Suter or something like that. And he breaks down a lot of injuries and different things like that, what happens and stuff like that. And he was talking about the same Antonio Brown thing. And he was pretty much saying that, the movement that he was doing when he ran off the field, that does not indicate that he doesn't have pain in his ankle. Now, it's adrenaline. The type of motion he was doing, he wasn't doing dorsiflexion, which is like bending your ankle up this way. He was doing like, I think this, whatever flexion this is, I forgot, which is not going to, and he's on his tippy toe. So it's not going to really hurt the ankle, which is any one of you guys who play sports or twisted your ankle or rolled your ankle.
That is true.
You know what I'm saying? You can do certain
you can't have an ankle plant. Yep, that's true.
You can't plant, you can't cut and do different things again. Football movement, but you can probably do something like that. So he was saying that, and he was really saying real quick was that, yo, man, we have to really be careful because everybody's trying to say this is CTE thing and it's throwing out this mental issue, and it's not necessarily could be the case. And it's very difficult to really put people in a category like that without knowing the full evidence, and it's stigmatizing people like that. Don't get me wrong. He is a centric dude. He is out there doing his own thing, but to automatically assume that it's because he has CTE, which is why he's acting like that, not necessarily the case. He just may not be one of those type of dudes who want to take that type of like lip from his coach talking to him like that and knowing his skill set. So it's unfortunate. Like you said, I do agree with you. I just hope that he might still be able to continue his career, and maybe he can get the help in regards to how to navigate some of these like media things, as opposed to not being so putting things out in the media, not always,
right,
being the loudest person in the room, you know what I'm saying? Just letting stuff slide. So maybe that can work out for him and help him. But we'll see. But just to wrap up, we run out of time. I want to thank Tyrone again for joining me today. Like I said, unfortunately, Menelik and Hollister couldn't join us, but they're here in spirit. I want
It's
to thank
all
you guys
good.
again for watching. You know, the podcast, like I said, we're trying to stay consistent. Please let us know any other topics that you might want us to talk about in regards to sports. Like I said, we try to keep it light with sports, but we do talk about other things. But we really try to keep it light. We don't want to make it into this whole big thing where it gets crazy. But we do appreciate the love. We do appreciate the support. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Enjoy the rest of your day, and God bless.